Let's be seated. Indeed, pagpalain Bangsamoro.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning. To our BTA members and BARM officials, MP and Minister of Public Order and Safety, Honourable Hussein Munez, MP Susanna Anayatin, the BTA Deputy Speaker, Attorney Lanang Ali, BHRC Chairperson, Attorney Abdul Rashid Kalim, MP Nureda Miswari, and Bangsamoro Planning and Development Authority Director, General Engineer Muhajirin Ali, a very warm welcome. Welcome also to our fellow INGO, NGOs and CSOs, too many to mention individually, but we appreciate all of the time you have given by attending. Representatives from the embassies of Norway, Ireland, Switzerland and Germany, members of the academe, the state sector representatives, members of the media, and of course our forumZFD and GIZ-CPS colleagues. A very warm welcome to you all to this forumZFD GIZ-CPS conference on transitional justice in the BARM, where we ask, what's next? To introduce myself again, my name is Máiréad Collins, and I'm the Country Director of forumZFD in the Philippines, based here in Davao. forumZFD, a German organization, began in 1996 in response to the conflict in the Western Balkans. We are now an organization with peacebuilding, conflict transformation programs across 13 countries in the Western Balkans, Ukraine, the Middle East, and here in Southeast Asia, as well as in Germany itself. We started here in the Philippines in 2010 and now have a presence in the regions of Davao, CARAGA, and of course, the Bangsamoro. In 2014, forumZFD produced a report on the potential for transitional justice in the BARM. This report considered the experiences of other countries alongside looking at the specific nature of the BARM context and its transitional justice needs. Along with so many others, many of whom sit in this room with us today, we as a peacebuilding organization recognize the fundamental role that transitional justice plays in ensuring a sustained, just peace. In the interim years, the role of transitional justice has never been forgotten and has been kept alive by those motivated to ensure its importance remains at the heart of discussions around the peace process. Again, many of those people also sit in the room here today. The next 2.5 days is a continuation of this journey. As we'll hear later, transitional justice road is not without its challenges, and it is an ongoing journey that requires often very difficult, but hopefully also very fruitful conversations. We know that some of these conversations will happen in the next day, and we really encourage you to involve yourselves in them. As Mam Rufa commented to us last night at dinner, the past is the present, and so we cannot avoid what remains in front of us. Maraming salamat, salama kayo, and thank you all so much again and welcome.
Good morning, Mayong Montag, and Salam Alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you in the name of GIZ, Civil Peace Service, to this conference. Since we have gathered here, I'd like to take the opportunity and introduce myself. I'm Karen Waterman and the newly appointed coordinator of GIZ Civil Peace Service in Mindanao. My successor, Dominic Harman, leaves this post by mid of this month. He was the helmsman who steered the GIZ-CPS team and projects during the past challenging years, overshadowed by the difficult working conditions due to the tight security regulations and the COVID pandemic. To overcome challenging times like this, peacemakers have to be very courageous, keep their heads up, and instead of getting depressed, move on. Hope is a must for people who engage themselves in the challenge working for peace and peacemaking. This hope is not only nurtured by the conviction that things may end in a positive manner. This hope is the certainty that something makes sense, regardless of how something will turn out. In hope there is strength and action. About Eternal Peace is a title of a writing by the philosopher Immanuel Kant that was produced in 1795. We may smile a little bit or nod our heads critically if we look to what is ongoing in the world hundreds of years later. There's nothing to see of eternal peace. Conflicts are popping up worldwide. Millions of people are fleeing their unbearable living conditions due to conflicts or climate change. But Kant said something very important in his writing many years ago, namely that peace is not a natural state, but peace must be built, made, and worked for, namely by the bold and the future-oriented who understand that hope is a must. We gathered here for the next days to participate in the conference on the topic Transitional Justice. I myself worked many years in deeply rooted and multi-layer conflicts all over in Asia. Among them, there was also the war in Sri Lanka. I learned that to come to terms with the past and to build relationships for the future, in the first place, the people and the stakeholders themselves must shape and agree to this process. I'm thanking you for your attention and looking forward to a fruitful cooperation in future. I wish you an inspiring and very interesting conference. Thank you. Salamat.
Thank you, Karen, for the welcome remarks, and thank you once again to forumZFD and GIZ-CPS for organizing the conference and for setting the message this morning. Thank you, Máiréad, for quoting Ma'am Rufa in reminding us that the past is indeed the present, and that's sobering thought when you're dealing with transitional justice in the context of the Bangsamoro. But thank you, Karen, for also saying that hope is a must. And that's a good, note on which we will try to interrogate the question, what's next? So aside from the organizers, we would like to hear the messages of other members of the international community who have been supporting our aspirations for transitional justice. I would like to request the First Secretary for Political Affairs of the Embassy of the Federal Republic of Germany, based in Manila, First Secretary Alexander Schmidt, to give his message. First Secretary.
Dear Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, Magandang Umaga sa inyong lahat. On behalf of German Ambassador Anke Reifenstuhl, who unfortunately cannot be with us today, I am happy to be here with you to kick off this 2.5-day conference on transitional justice in the Bangsamoro. Peace building and conflict transformation and stabilization implemented through GIZ, forumZFD and other partners, local and international organizations in Mindanao, is one of Germany's main areas of bilateral development cooperation in the Philippines. Why Mindanao? While Mindanao is rich in natural resources, some of the country's poorest provinces are in Mindanao. this southern island has also been marked by an often violent struggle for more autonomy. The disparity among the population, unequal distribution of power, access to natural resources and land are some of the main sources of conflict in Mindanao. This in turn hampers the prospects for sustainable development and economic growth, which has the potential to further destabilize the region. In addition, the Indo-Pacific guidelines of the German government specifically mention Germany's commitment in the peace process in the Bangsamoro. Project implementation of GIZ in Mindanao in peace building and sustainable development was established back in 2005. There are currently about 70 different organizations implementing projects funded by Germany in Mindanao, with a total volume of currently 38.6 million euros, which is approximately 2.2 billion pesos. Ladies and gentlemen, transitional justice is a key issue for BARN. The comprehensive agreement on the Bangsamoro is not a standalone document signed with a view to ending violent military conflict. Both parties, the national government and the MILF, also signed the Annex on Normalization, which includes components such as the demobilization of combatants, camp transformation, transitional security measures, transitional justice and reconciliation, and confidence-building initiatives. I'm looking forward to discussing transitional justice in the Bangsamoro during this conference, but also learning from other examples such as the Western Balkans, Nepal, and Cambodia. And we are all looking forward to learning what's next. So with this, let me reiterate that Germany remains committed in supporting an inclusive peace process in the Bangsamoro based on the principles of human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. Thank you very much. Salamat.
We will have another message, this time from the Norwegian ambassador to the Philippines. Please join me in putting our hands together for His Excellency Ambassador Christian Halas Lister. Sir?
Dear friends of peace, supporting peace is a cornerstone of Norway's foreign policy. As a firm believer of a rights-based and a rules-based global order, Norway's peace and reconciliation efforts is a long-term commitment in finding durable and non-violent solutions to many of the conflicts across the globe. Transitional justice and rights of victims is one important focus area of our peace work. For example, transitional justice and the survivors' agenda is evident in the peace process that we facilitated in Colombia with the FARC. In the Philippines, we learn a great deal from the innovative solutions and transitional justice approaches from the Bangsamoro experience. Your insights are valuable not only for Mindanao, but in the global practice of putting people at the heart of conflict transformation. Here today, in my opening message, I would like to discuss two main themes. First is Norway's support to the Philippines in its quest for peace. Secondly, the principles of Norway's peace work globally. In the Philippines, we have been involved as a country in the peace process between the Philippine government and the NDFP, Communist Armed Conflict. Norway is the third-party facilitator since 2001, and we have continued to support the process through its highs and lows, providing technical assistance and expertise, and assisting peace actors on a wide array of skills and principles necessary for negotiations and peace building. Under the Moro Islamic Liberation Front's peace agreement, Norway is part of the formal peace architecture under the Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro signed in 2014. As vice chair of the independent decommissioning body, Norway assists the parties and provides oversight in their decommissioning of weapons and combatants. Since 2015, Norway has specialists deployed on the ground, and we are currently aiming at having 4 Norwegian experts deployed for the 3rd phase of the decommissioning process. Norway recently concluded its UN security membership in 2022. And one of the foremost areas that we championed under our watch is the role of women as peace builders. Norway supported the first Philippine National Action Plan on Women, Peace and Security, I believe the first in the region. And we advocated strongly for women, peace and security agenda in all our peace efforts worldwide. As such, the Philippines is one of Norway's 10 WPS priority countries, along with Myanmar in the region. And we have deployed women peace experts in many of the conflict zones as facilitators, as field experts, and importantly, recognizing the role as women as key resources for sustainable peace. Today, I'm also honored to share with you the Norwegian government's perspectives on transitional justice and reconciliation. Here are the 3 of many hallmarks of Norway's peace and reconciliation work. First, impartial facilitation. When acting as a facilitator in a peace process, Norway remains impartial. However, this does not mean that we are neutral when it comes to values. In peace processes in which Norway is engaged, we work actively to promote the principles of international law and human rights, even in the cases where this meets resistance from the parties. Secondly, we are involved long-term. Norway has a long-term willingness to provide assistance. Many conflicts last for several decades, and it can take time before the parties are ready to negotiate a political solution. Norway has made it clear that it takes a long-term approach to its peace and reconciliation efforts. There is broad agreement on this in the Norwegian Parliament, and several of the processes Norway is currently engaged in have lasted for many years and has been supported by many different Norwegian governments. Our efforts in the Middle East and Colombia are 2 good examples. This continuity is one of our unique strengths. It ensures a high level of predictability, and it inspires confidence in Norway's efforts. And lastly, inclusive peace process. Peace processes that involve the civilian population, especially women and victims, create a greater sense of local ownership and result in a better and sustainable peace agreement. On several occasions, Norway has helped to ensure that women who would otherwise have been excluded from the process can articulate their demands both at the negotiating table and in the implementation phase. Thank you to forumZFD and the co-organizers in giving us this opportunity to be in Davao, to take part in this conference. I'm here to listen, to learn more about the transitional justice processes and its actors. I wish you the best of luck, good insights, and meaningful conversations in the 2 days to come. Thank you.
First Secretary Schmidt earlier noted the significance of the dates. You know, today is February 7. 4 days from now, on February 11, we will be marking the 7th anniversary of the submission by the Transitional Justice and Reconciliation Commission, TJRC, of their report to the joint Philippine and MILF panel.